Thought I heard something. Who wants to die of potatoes?
Life is misery for me.
Enough of that. Anyway, I decided to go ahead and do a top 10 list of the Halloween franchise overall, including Rob Zombie and John Carpenter. Now, Devin Pilgrim, of course, he gave me his top 10 list, and I looked at that, and my first thought was... having the original first is so fucking original. Okay, so that was kind of repetitive, and I'm not sure I'm happy with that voice.
Fuck you, you gave me this voice!
That one is annoying as well. Anyway, I looked at Devin's kind of view on the franchise. I decided to go give him my own twist, because I try to look at this as objectively as possible. I'm not going to give something a number one slot unless, in my eyes, it has earned it. I'm not going to give something a high ranking just because it is the original or the start of a franchise. I'm not saying he did any of this, okay? Devin has his own views on movies, and you know what? A lot of times, he has great opinions on them. He's spot on. Me, though, I like to look at overall, I like backstories from the cast and crew to kind of influence my decision. Part of the reason why I'm not doing a review on Kubrick's version of The Shining. Anyway, coming in, number 10 is... the third one. Now, the reason number 3, while it is a great movie, in and of its own accord, it is not actually related to the rest of the Halloween franchise that I've been made aware of. The only real reference to the Halloween franchise that I've seen in there is them talking about the very first Halloween, which seems to me like someone was just, tooting their own horn. But, yeah, no. While it was very enjoyable for me, and while I did think it was a great original film, it was still lacking that whole franchise aspect of it. Next, coming in at number 9. Hi, diddly ho. Now, the reason the second of Rob Zombie's movies is coming in at number 9 is because it would have failed if he had gone with this idea to begin with. If he had just stuck straight to his typical formula, it would have just... people would have still loved it. But me, I like that little build-up. I like that closure. I like knowing exactly what's going on. This movie just picked up where it left off, kept going, took off in Rob Zombie fashion. Didn't really do it for me. So, next, coming in at number 8. The Curse of Michael Myers. Now, while this did give you a lot of backstory, not much really happened to this movie. While they did bring back Tommy and get more in depth with the cult, they could have done this over the course of the other movies without making it its own movie and throwing in some extra kills just to kind of be out there. Now, this movie is pretty much inconsequential to the rest of the series, much like 3. And I really just couldn't find a reason to have it higher up on the list. I did enjoy this film, but it really didn't have to be made. So, coming in at number 7. It's the 5th one. Now, while the 5th movie in the Halloween franchise was pretty entertaining, it mostly capitalized on the remainder of the story from the 4th one. Now, that is decent for a sequel, but they threw in mostly extra kills of friends after killing off one of the main interests in the beginning, and continuing the story with basically just seizures and small jokes about my... Get out of my way, I'm filming a video, you beautiful bitch. Oh! She did this to me. Carly, that was your fault for messaging me in the middle of the video. What was I saying? I mostly capitalized on the little girl having seizures and premonitions. And the one notable kill that was supposed to push the rest of the plot was basically just a side character from another movie that really only got seen for a small amount of time, and her reason for going to the party was, you just meet people, You find that one person and you gotta be with them. Even if it means you get butchered outside of a fucking barn or have kids almost getting run over by a car. Next in is number 6. Oh, here he comes. It's the first in the Halloween franchise. Why is that listed at number 6? Well, the plot wasn't that strong to begin with. The acting was done mostly by fresh faces. While this was an excellent addition, as far as I know, it was one of the first fucking slasher films. It was right up there. It was in the 70s, the height of it. This is still a slow and lackluster movie. Like I said, unless it has actually grabbed my attention and held it the entire time. Like, this movie was mostly watching Laurie babysit while her friends tried to get laid and get killed, which is basically a lot of 70s and 80s movies, just without the killing part. The whole story of, trying to lose your virginity and all that jazz, that was a main push point. That, honestly, if it wasn't for Michael Myers, I'd feel like I was watching a very shitty Pretty in Pink. So, next on is number 5. It's Halloween H2O. While this was a very entertaining film and excellent for fans, and a great fight between the main final girl in this entire franchise and our favorite killer, it was still lackluster. It had a low body count, it was slow picking up, it really didn't connect with the rest of the series, and it pretty much just made Laurie a bitch. This was a fun movie, which is why it's kind of middle of the road for me, but at the same time, not much happened. They did have LL Cool J, though. That's cool. If they had killed off LL Cool J, this would have been 10. I would have rated Halloween 3 above it. I don't want to watch a movie that kills off LL Cool J. So, it's time for number 4. It's Halloween 2. So tell me, why is Halloween 2 rated above its predecessor? The kills were funner. It was a lot more gripping. You had an idea of what was going on in the world, and the final girl knew what she was doing at this point. It had this sense of hopelessness, it had this big-ass explosion at the end, and it was just all around entertaining. Even at these comical bits, this movie was fun as hell. And it nicely finished what the first movie couldn't. The first movie literally ended where the midpoint should have been. So yeah, this one's rated higher because a lot more shit went down. They went way more in depth with it, and this was just funner to watch. On to number 3. Now, while we just rated number 4, number 3 is number 4 in the franchise. So 4 is 3 and 3 and 4. Now, 4 added a lot to the franchise. It gave you a sense of how everything has changed. How they've built up security, especially on Halloween, how they've built up the police force, and how they respond to a Michael Myers-related call. And how seriously they take this event. That was fucking astonishing. The kills were awesome. Every last one. This is a movie that, well, with the exception of that cheating son of a bitch who decided to sit in the middle of the staircase, fumble with shotgun shells, and not really know what he was doing. He just insisted on staying behind like a dumbass. But it was fun watching him get his skull crushed in, and the cop's daughter get pinned to a wall with a fucking shotgun. Number 2. Number 2 is Halloween Resurrection, which really should have been the end of the franchise. But while this was one of the last movies made, and that typically is a bad sign when you have a long stretching franchise, this movie was entertaining. It had comedy, it had drama, it had fucking brutal murders. This movie was entertaining start to finish. And that is something that is so rare to find whenever you're dealing with something that is dragged on for so fucking long. This movie, while many people won't find it entertaining, they did this right. They had excellent cinematography. They took advantage of everything they possibly could. They even put more cameras in the movie so that they could have an excuse to use very obscure views, sneak in small flash shots to try to jump scare you. This movie had it figured out, and it was entertaining all a fucking round. Now, taking the number one spot, you probably figured out what it is by now. Now, why is Rob Zombie's 2007 remake of the original movie in this franchise placed in number one and not the original Halloween? This movie is an attention getter. The acting in this was something to really fucking pay attention to. The final girl had an excellent evolution, and how frantic the victims became when pursued by this fucking behemoth was almost believable. The gore was as realistic as possible. The childhood was fucking horrifyingly relatable until he beat that kid to death in the woods, but let's face it, who hasn't wanted to do that?
He's a fucking psychopath!
Thank you for your input, Egg-chan. Anyway, this movie was just excellent in every way I could possibly imagine. The cinematography, the gore, the language, the acting, chemistry between characters, it really set you up in this very safe, very cozy, very cute environment and then immediately kicked a stool out from under you. That's what you want in a slasher film. You want to be comfortable and then immediately get a shotgun up the ass, because that is what gives the killer such an overwhelming presence. Honestly, I did not expect that. I did not expect anything out of that movie. I did not expect that to be at the top of my top 10. But it is, it did, it was, and I'm spinning the leak. What did you think about my top 10 list? What is your own personal top 10 for this franchise? What did you think I was on or off about with the movies? Post all that in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, keep on keeping on. I will see you in the next video. Whatever that may be, whatever that might be.